I'm Saturday hauling for you guys today, and I'm going to go ahead and start off with some new products from Lethal Cosmetics. They came out with the new Night Bloom collection, so I did go ahead and get all three of the new Duochrome highlighters that they came out with. I just purchased the pans. You can also purchase their like empty 3-pan face palette as well, or just throw them in a magnetic palette. I purchased these products off of the Camera Ready Cosmetics website, which sells Lethal Cosmetics. So this is the sleeve that the highlighters comes in. You can see the ingredients on the back like that, and then there is a total of 5 grams or 0.18 ounces of product in each one of these highlighters, which is a pretty decent amount of product that you're getting. So I just got mine in this magnetic palette here, and I do have on my face today the shade Halo, which is kind of a pinky slight duochrome, and I think that it looks really pretty on the skin, but I did have to work at getting it to adhere to the skin because these are a bit drier and they're actually a bit powdery. They have like a little bit of a flakiness to them with the dryness, which doesn't work super well on a drier skin type like I have. So I did end up wetting my brush to get it to really stick to the top of my cheekbones. I had to wet my brush, let it dry just a little bit, and then buff it into the skin. If I go in with a too damp brush, it can get a little like chunky. For me, on my dry skin, it's a little bit of a fine line when I wet the brush as well. But once I'm able to get them to adhere to my skin, I do think that they look really pretty on the skin. But again, they're a drier, kind of flakier, powdery type of formulation. This particular shade that I have on today actually reminds me of the Menagerie highlighter in Aurora Australis that I really love, but the Menagerie one does adhere to the skin a lot better and it's a bit smoother than these ones. So I'll actually swatch that one next to this one too, just for reference. So the first one, I'll take them out of the palette because I can read the name on the back. So this is the one that I have on my skin today, and it's called Halo. It's got a bit of a pink hue to it with this kind of a, I don't know, a bluey type of a duochrome to it. So you can see how pretty like the shine is, but I think when I swatched it, you can see the kind of drier flakiness of it as well, but it is really pretty. So that is the shade Halo right there. And then we've got the shade Atomic, which has got a yellow base to it. Yeah, I think you can kind of even see, like, did you see that come off? They're just, I wish there was more like moisture in them, or there was a bit more creaminess to them, because they, especially on my dry skin, it would just work out a little bit better for me. So that one right there is the shade Atomic. And I will say right off the bat that Stellar, the first one that I swatched, is that what it's called? Oh no, Halo. The first one that I swatched, Halo, is my favorite out of the three. But that one right there is Atomic. And then the last one is called Stellar. And this one's kind of got a peach shift in it. So that one right there is the shade Stellar. And then I'm going to swatch it next to Menagerie Cosmetics Aurora Australis, which is another pinky highlighter that really reminds me of that first one that I have on today as well, which is called Halo. So just for reference for you guys, so you can kind of see the difference there. And again, the Menagerie just, it goes on my skin a lot smoother, I guess, than the Lethal Cosmetics ones, but at least you can see kind of her reference there. These two have a little bit of similarities. I suppose the Menagerie one has a stronger pink shift, and then the Lethal has got a stronger like bluish shift to it. So those are the 3 new Lethal highlighters right there. That's the Menagerie. I also got 3 of the gel liners from that collection. So these have got 5 grams or 0.17 ounces of product in them, and this is what the packaging looks like that they come in. It's kind of like this cute little fold out box right there, and it does say to keep the cap to help them from drying out. Now I go back and forth with the gel liners from Lethal because I absolutely adore the formulation, and I absolutely love the colors that they come out with. That's why I keep buying them, is because of the colors, but their shelf life is really, really short. And I know they came out with a mixing medium that you can use to kind of revive these, but the only place that I've seen it sold was the Lethal Cosmetics website, and I'm fixing to kind of place an order particularly just to get that product because I really like the colors of these liners. And I have mixed these with Duraline to kind of help get more creaminess out of them when they start to dry out. But the problem is with Duraline, I like to use these on my waterline. So mixing them with Duraline shortens the amount of time that they last in the waterline for me. So typically I like to pick out the shades that I like to use on the waterline, and I don't like to mix them with too much other stuff, or I like to keep them half and half in the pot if I can, so that I can use one side for the waterline and then kind of make one side more creamy to do a winged line, if that makes any sense. But I am fixing to place an order on the Lethal Cosmetics website to get their mixing medium as well. They're supposed to help revive their gel liners. So the last time I bought some of these, I think they were the Teresa Zed collaboration. I was like, I'm not buying any more Lethal gel liners, but I like them so much and I like the color so much and I love to wear them on the waterline. Anyway, that's a whole thing. I bought 3 of them again. So I'll start off with the shade Fidelity, which is like a warm mid-tone purple shade, and that is the shade that I actually have on my upper lash line for winged liner. And I do think that it looks really pretty with the lashes that I put on with it. Before I put the lashes on, it was just a little bit too light to be super definitive for how I like to use a wing to lift my eye. So I was wishing it had a little bit more depth to it, but with the lashes on, I think that it looks super pretty. This particular one's got a little bit too much red in it for what I like to put on the waterline in terms of like a purple, because it'll make my eyes look bloodshot. But I will swatch this guy for you. Let me set these other 2 down. So again, this is the shade Fidelity, and I've got it on the upper lash line. And I didn't mix it with anything today because it is quite creamy right now. They are brand new. It's just a really pretty purple. I just wish it had a little bit more depth in it. So that is the shade Fidelity right there. And these are the little stoppers, and you want to keep those to house on the top like that to help them from drying out. And this next shade is the shade Harmony, which is a light, like almost like a blue-based pastel purple, mid-tone pastel. Periwinkle. It actually looks like a periwinkle, and I have got this on my waterline more so on the inner portion, kind of the middle portion, and then I got the darker blue on the outer portion, kind of faded them together in the middle. But this is the type of tone of purple that I can get away with wearing on the waterline because, again, the blue that's in it doesn't make my eyes look bloodshot. So this one here is Harmony. Such beautiful shades though. See, that's what I'm saying. I love the colors. And again, I do love the formulation. I just wish that they lasted, you know, forever. And the last shade is Polarity, which is like a grungy navy blue, lighter navy blue, I guess. And this one here is one that I would want to use on the upper lash line for a wing and on the waterline as well. So if I mix it with something else, granted this one is still really creamy as well, so I can get away with not mixing it, but I would try to, you know, keep whatever like Duraline on one half so that I can continue to use the other half on the waterline. But this is the other shade that I've got kind of more so on the outer portion of the waterline, and I faded it into that periwinkle blue shade. So that one right there is the shade Polarity. And there's one more shade that came out with the collection too that's like a red, but it didn't look like it would be deep enough for a wing, and I just can't easily pull off reds in the waterline again because my lighter eyes, they end up looking bloodshot like that. But these colors are stunning. I love these colors. So those are the gel liners that I got. And then I also bought the eyeshadow palette, which they are calling it the Night Flower Pressed Powder Palette. So there's a total of 0.68 ounces of product, or 19.2 grams across 12 eyeshadows. So it does come with a sleeve. And on the back of the sleeve, there is a sticker with the names of the shadows on there. This is the only place that you'll find the names for the shadows. There aren't stickers on the back of the pans for that. So usually what I do, because I've done this with their, I think it was their 6 pans that came out, I pulled the sticker off the back carefully, and then I like to just stick it on the back of the actual palette so that I don't have to like keep the sleeve. It's just ease of use type of situation. So the packaging is a cardboard packaging, and then it does have little holes for you to pop the pans out, but I just have a magnet that I use. I get a lot of questions on this little magnet. I've showed it a couple times. It's from the brand Cirque Colors. And I got it off of Beautylish, and I'm not 100% sure if they still sell them, but there's like a larger magnet on one side and then a little round one on the other side, and it was pretty inexpensive. So that's from Cirque Colors. I get questions about that, but so I don't mind if I put the sticker on the back and cover up the holes because I use a magnet typically. So again, cardboard packaging with a magnetic closure, and then there's a mirror in there and it tips all the way backwards, and here are your shades. I love the color story in here. I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say that these are all new shades. And in case you want to check for yourself, these are the shade names in the palette right there. The palette comes with 6 matte shadows and then 6 metallics, 2 of which are duochrome shades, which are this really pretty purple. It's got like a bluish shift in it. And then this shade up here is like a pink with like a tangerine kind of yellow gold shift to it. It's very pretty. So I did bring in the highlighter because this shade just isn't quite bright enough for my inner corner for what I like to use on the eyes. And over a tacky primer, I think that highlighter looks very pretty on the eyes. So again, I have got a drier skin type. That's why I didn't hear that well. And it's a more dry powdery formula, but directly over primer, it performed well as a eyeshadow. And other than the highlighter, this is the eyeshadow palette that I have on my eyes today. And there's just something about Lethal Cosmetics shadows that has this grunge to them, even with these bright purples. Like this shade right here is like a gray, like a muted gray, purple base gray. It's really, really cool. And like this one too is like a burgundy, but there's something grungy and watered down about the shades. I don't know if it's that they put a little bit more like white in them to make them murky, but I love that aspect about their shadows, this like grunginess to them. Like the shadows are like brighter shades, but they're still murky. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully you can see in the swatches. And then the shimmer shades are really, really beautiful too. So let's go ahead and give you guys some swatches. Again, this is what I have got on my eyes today as well. So there are the first 4. And then these next 4. I do feel like these shadows might not work the best over like a set eyelid, just because again they have that same kind of a little bit of texture like the highlighters, but over a tacky base like I use the CoverGirl and Olay, they work great. And then these last 4 here. This color story. I love all of the pre-made color stories that Lethal Cosmetics comes up with, and I think again that has a lot to do with like the grunge. You can see like I don't know if you, let me know if you know what I'm talking about. There's like a mutedness to the shades, especially those matte shades, that's just so pretty. And it makes them also really wearable for such bright colors. So that's another reason why I love the Lethal Cosmetics formula. So that one there is the Night Flower Pressed Powder Palette from the Night Bloom collection right there. And then there are the gel liners. Like how pretty is that color story? The palette and the gel liners from Lethal are also made in Germany. And then I also purchased the new Sugar Drizzle What If I Fall? Oh, but my darling, what if you fly? I think it's the Warrior palette. We're gonna go with that because the tail of the dragonfly says Warrior on there. So it does come with a sleeve that matches the imagery on the front, and then the back it's got the same information on there. As with all of my Sugar Drizzle products, it does not state where the products are made. So by default and by my experience with similar products like this, they're made in the PRC. I do get along with these Sugar Drizzle palettes really well, so that's why I keep purchasing them. Not only that, but their color stories are really unique and beautiful, but they have that that formulation, and I've experienced the same formulation again in other kind of indie brands, but they're this beautiful like multi-dimensional duochrome. Some of them are like multi-chrome. There are two, I want to say, multi-chromes in this one, which are these two right here, and then these super shiny shades that just got the most beautiful like shift and wet look on the lid. I did use this standalone. I used the yellow color on the inner portion and underneath the brow. It's got a little bit of a lighter shift in the light than what it looks like in the pan, so it worked out. And I used this green in the crease and I buffed out with a bit of this blue. It just turned out to be the most pretty look. There are 3 matte eyeshadows in here, which are this yellow shade, this green, and then this black. Everything else in here, there are the 2 multi-chromes and then the 4 like flakier like shimmer shades. So let me go ahead and swatch this for you guys. I think that this is currently sold out, but I did see on Instagram they were asking about if people wanted a restock or not. But look at how pretty these are, and they're smooth, and I had very minimal fallout with them. I love the palettes from Sugar Drizzle. They're very pretty. And then these next guys. Oh, this green's got like this golden shift that's stunning. It's like a golden pink shift in the green. The multi-chrome kind of shades in there do have a black base, so those are the kind that you want to limit the amount of blending that you get, because the more you blend them, the like darker the black base will show through. And then this last shade. How pretty is that color story though? It's stunning. So I do hope that they restock it, because this is a good one. I love all of my Sugar Drizzle palettes, except for the first 2 that I purchased, which are a different formula completely from these ones. I don't think they sell them anymore either. They're the ones that had there was a panda bear on one and a raccoon, I think, on the other one. Those are a different formula than these newer ones like this. So anyway, that is the Warrior palette right there from Sugar Drizzle Cosmetics. And then I got the Simply Posh Picking Peonies eyeshadow palette, which this is another indie brand. And so hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about. Both of these next 2 palettes are very similar in terms of the packaging of the actual palettes, like the texture of the imagery on the front, which feels like a lasered printed on the front, and then also the backs. And none of these palettes, the Sugar Drizzle and these next 2 that I show you, state on the packaging where the product is made. So these are going to be that like PRC formula. And although I love these formulations, I'm not crazy about the fact that they don't print that information on the packaging. The Sugar Drizzle packaging actually doesn't even state how much product is either in the palette as a whole or individually. The Simply Posh one does. It says that there's a total of 2.2 grams or 0.007 ounces each, which I'm guessing that is a misprint, because 0.007 ounces is much smaller amount of product than what the pan size in here. So I think that they meant maybe 0.07 ounces per shade. So if that makes any sense, that's a little like, what type of situation. So anyway, so this is from Simply Posh Cosmetics. I did purchase one other palette from this brand, and I really enjoy that one as well. So again, that's why I bought this one. The other palette that I have from them is the Icy Chill Palette, again with that same beautiful flaky formulation in there. So this one here, also really pretty color story. It's got the cardboard packaging with the magnetic closure, and then it feels like a laser etched imagery on the front. And this is what this palette looks like. So this one's got far more mattes in it than a lot of the other palettes with this same type of vibe to it, if you will. There are some really pretty multi-chrome shadows in here that look just stunning on the lid. And I love that there are some mattes in here. None of the shades in here, however, were quite bright enough. I did do a couple looks using this shade Petal, or Petals, as the lightest shade, and it did look pretty, but I was wishing for a little more brightness in that inner corner. So oftentimes I did pair it with something that was a little bit more bright, but the mattes in here blended out really well, and the shimmers are beautiful. And I love the color story. And then these next two, I'm going to do these mattes first, and then I'll go back to those shimmers, which the middle row right there are the shimmer duochrome kind of shiny shades, and then the top and the bottom row are the mattes. And these last four matte shades. There's a bit of a grunge to this palette as well, I think. Like, there's a bit of mutedness to the shades. But those are the matte shadows right there. And then let me swatch this middle row. Really, really pretty shimmers. And then these last two. So there are the swatches right there of the Simply Posh Picking Peonies eyeshadow palette right there. And then the last palette along those same lines of, you know, being made in the PRC and that same type of indie vibe. So I feel like there's kind of two indie brand vibes. There are the indie brands, which I don't knock any indie brand. I like to try new brands all around and stuff like that. But there's a group of them that get their stuff from the PRC and kind of put the stuff together, maybe pick out the shades and stuff, but they're more like along the lines of a I don't want to say private label, but they're all coming from the same place. And then you have your indie brands like Menagerie Cosmetics and Give Me Glow Cosmetics and stuff, where they're like pressing and making and mixing that stuff in-house. And you can actually follow those two brands on Instagram, and you can actually see their manufacturing process with pressing shadows and all of that type of stuff. So again, I don't knock any indie brand. I'm just saying I feel like there are two different categories of indie brands. So Sugar Drizzle, Simply Posh, and then this brand here, which is called Bella Beauty Bar. They're all like coming from the same place, if that makes sense. So again, same exact style of packaging as the other two that I showed you guys. The cardboard packaging, it doesn't state on this one, like the Sugar Drizzle, how much product is in here. And then you have got like it's like a laser etched image on the front, which is quite pretty. But this is the Star-Crossed Lovers eyeshadow palette, and I love this color story. So this one here has got them beautiful flaky shades that are in both the Simply Posh Icy Chill palette and also several of the Sugar Drizzle palettes. Very beautiful. I got along with this palette really well. Again, those shimmers are beautiful. This is a standalone for me, and the looks come out absolutely beautiful. I had very little fallout. There is a multi-chrome in here with this shade right here, but I will say that I got staining with several of these shades, like where I wash my makeup off, and I'm a very diligent cleanser. Like I do the double cleanse with the oil, and then I, you know, wash it off. And I also took a bit of makeup remover trying to get some of that staining off, and it actually, like, you know, tinted my skin. So it took maybe a day or two before I got the redness out of my lid. So just something to be aware of there. But let's go ahead and give you guys some swatches. There are a couple different finishes in those shimmers. You've got like a shimmer, you've got a smooth duochrome in there, and then you've got those flaky shades. So hopefully you can see in the swatches exactly. And there's some lovely mattes in there. Again, this was a standalone for me, and I did love the looks that came out of it. This guy. This shade, I remember in particular, did a lovely staining when I used it. But it's so pretty though. Look at that shade. It's stunning. And this shade here is like a black base multi-chrome, that one I just swatched. Oh, I love that color. And then these next two, which are stunning. I mean, this color story is what really made me buy this palette. It's the only thing that I've tried from this brand. Again, it's the Bella Beauty. I'll have it listed down below here. But it was the color story and the fact that I could tell from the pictures that those were those beautiful shiny flaky shades that I love. And then these last 3 shades here. Just a really beautiful color story with a lovely array of textures and finishes in terms of the shadows in this one. It doesn't want to bend all the way back, and I feel like if I force it, I'm going to crack it, but that is the Star-Crossed Lovers palette right there. I also finally used the remaining 3 products that I purchased from Makeup Revolution and the Lion King collaboration. I hauled one palette that I wore in that video. I want to say it was 2 weeks ago, but I also got the Heart of a Lioness highlighter, and there's 0.23 ounces of product in here, and this guy is made in China. This is the one with Nala on the cover. The one with Simba on there was a bronzer, and it looked like it was just a bit too warm for me, but I love the packaging. I love the Lion King. It brings back all the memories for me. But you can see the little characters in the binding there, and this has got a really pretty shine to it. I can make it work as a highlighter, but it's almost like it's in between a highlighter and kind of a blush for me. But it does have a really pretty shine, so it's almost like a blush toppery type of shade. If you have a deeper skin tone than mine, I think that this would be a lovely highlighter, but otherwise it's kind of like a blush topper on my skin tone. So that is the highlighter right there in Heart of a Lioness. And then I got a Walk on the Wild Side shadow palette. This is the one with Simba on it. It's the 9-pan, 0.24 ounces of product in here, and this one is also made in China. Love the color story. I have worn this one, and it is super punchy. I did have to bring in like a lighter brow bone highlight and a lighter kind of inner corner, because everything in here is kind of mid-tone or a bit deeper, if you will. So it's not exactly a standalone for me, like the one with Nala on it. That one was a standalone for me, and I loved the look that came out of that one. And these shadows are pigmented, and they work really nicely, but don't expect anything super unique in terms of like the finishes or the colors or anything like that. No specialties in here. And some of the shades are like really soft, and even though they're pigmented, you do need to build them up a little bit, but it's like a layering type of effect. But they're not bad at all. Again, I loved that look that I got out of the one with Nala on the front. And I think these, like, I was able to get 20% off or something, and they were like $6, $6 or $7, so super affordable as well. So you can see very similar colors in this one, where the other one was very contrasty. So that's why I feel like I liked the other one a little bit more, because everything's very similar. So that one is the A Walk on the Wild Side right there. And then I also got the Hakuna Matata 18 shade palette, and it's got Timon and Pumbaa and Simba on the front. Again, I'm a sucker. So there's a total of 0.58 ounces across 18 shades in this guy, and this one is also made in China. So this one was almost standalone for me. I was just missing something a little bit shimmery and bright in this one for the inner corner again. There's a matte brow bone in this shade right here, and I can almost get away with this yellow too, with the other warmer colors for a highlight, but I was wishing for a little bit brighter shimmer shade in here. But again, same thing with the formulation. They're pigmented. I got along with them pretty well. Some of them I had to build up a little bit, but they blended pretty decent. But nothing super revolutionary in terms of the colors or the finishes. And then these guys. And I got mine in Target again. So. And then these next ones. And then this last row here. I love this color. I use that one on the lid. And then the very last two here, right around the elbow. Right there. So hopefully you can tell whether or not that guy is going to be something that you would like. That's the Makeup Revolution in Hakuna Matata palette from the Lion King collaboration right there. There are some pretty shades in this guy. So that's everything that I got in this week. I did order from Ulta, and I paid the extra 10 bucks for the faster shipping, and then my package got lost. So it had like the new NARS eyeshadow palette, some stuff from the new spring collection from MAC, just some fun stuff, and I was so excited to get that package, and now it's lost. So we're working on resolving that. But otherwise, I did get in some lovely PR packages that I will share with you guys. And this first one is from Bare Minerals, and it's the Power of Good new Maximus eye collection, which I was super excited about because there is a black liquid liner in here with a brush tip applicator, which is my favorite. So it says, our new Maximus Phyto Fiber Volumizing Mascara and Liquid Eyeliner let you max out every look with extreme volume and eye-catching definition. These amplifying formulas are made with innovative earth-conscious ingredients like volume-building upcycled orange peel fibers and rich black mineral pigments for ultra-dramatic looks, as well as a sustainably sourced microalgae complex that fortifies and nourishes for thicker, healthier-looking lashes over time, which I love that. So clean, vegan, synthetic, fragrance-free, and formulated without gluten, PEGs, tree nuts, and more. So this is the card that came in there, and this is the other side of the card right there. So I have tried both of these products. The mascara is one I gotta get used to because I don't use a natural bristle brush mascara all that often. I'm obsessed with the Maybelline Sky High. So this one here was just a little bit larger, and it's also got the more natural kind of mascara wand to it, but also the formulation was quite a bit like drier than something like the Maybelline one. So I've worn this a couple times and I did have good luck with it. In terms of the winter time, I didn't have any smudging. I did have a couple little bits of flakes, but it wasn't too much. Again, it's the winter time and this is a drier formula already, so that could be part of it. But the mascara itself, I thought it did a decent job of giving volume and some length, but it didn't quite lengthen and separate like the Maybelline Sky High. It was more of a natural looking lash with more volume to it than anything, so that's like the best way I could describe it. What I really like about products like this though is they really focus on having good ingredients in them. So if that's something that you like, I don't think this is a bad mascara at all, especially for all of the additional good ingredients that it has in the formulation. So again, I'll just show you the brush again here. It's a larger kind of brush and it's a natural bristle style. For what it's worth, I'll swatch some of the kind of mascara there for you. And then I was super excited about the liner because it's my favorite style of liquid liner with the little inkwell and then the brush. And so I used to use the, back in the day, it was the Kat Von D liquid liner that came with this, like it had the tattoo flower on the handle and then it had a little inkwell. I had gone through so many of those, and then it used to come in really fun colors too. I miss that product, to be honest with you guys, but I was excited because this has got the inkwell style, and so I just like to kind of shake it up, and then I'll show you guys the brush. The brush is a little bit thicker if I were to compare it next to the Essence liner that I also really love with a brush tip, but look at how rich and dark that liner is. It was very easy to use and I got along with the application really well. I just will say that I think you can see right there that the brush is a little bit more blunt shaped on the end of it. But I love how rich and dark the liner is. I'll give it a minute to kind of set there so you can see the finish that it has. So that is what it looks like dry. right there. So that one is the Maximus liquid eyeliner, and that is the Maximus mascara right there. And a huge thank you to Bare Minerals for sending over those products. And then I also got a PR package from Glow Recipe, and I was super excited about this. When I first seen, I think it was Trend Mood post that this product was coming out, I got super excited because of how much Glow Recipe skincare that I use. So they launched a SPF 50, and it came in this really cute like watermelon style packaging, and then the sunscreen was sitting in the center. I just thought it was very cute. And this is the new Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Sunscreen. Glowing radiance plus protection is what it says on the box. Again, this is an SPF 50. So this is actually a chemical sunscreen mixed with a physical sunscreen. And typically I go for a mineral sunscreen, but I do have chemical sunscreens in the number 7 foundation that I love as well. And I haven't had any problems with those ones. And I've been wearing this product for the last week. First, I started out mixing it with the Josie Maran, and it gave the Josie Maran this like silk-like texture that almost like helped set the Josie Maran, which is a very slick type of a product. And I thought that the finish, that I don't know what it was about it, it had like this glow to it. And then also kind of set down that Josie Maran from being so slicky, and makeup just went over it so beautiful. So I started out like that because I gotta dabble when I'm like introducing new skincare products and stuff like that. And then I went to 50-50, and then today I was brave and I used just the Glow Recipe by itself. And what I was really surprised with was I was thinking, because the Josie Maran is SPF with a moisturizer, that I was gonna have trouble with dryness issues on my face, and I had just the opposite experience. And I've had this makeup on, it's kind of late in the day, I've had it on for like 6 hours now, and my face actually feels more hydrated than anything, which I found very interesting, because when I used it by itself, again, it's got like this bit of tack to it, and it like almost sets down. So when I put my foundation on, I was able to use less powder because I didn't need as much to set down my foundation with that sunscreen underneath it. And also it's very moisturizing, because I'm very surprised how nourished my skin feels with this just being, you know, a sunscreen. They're not marketing it as a sunscreen moisturizer really, it's just called an SPF. So I love that about the product, and there's something about being able to use less powder on my skin, which using more powder over the Josie Maran in the number 7 never looked heavy either, but getting that lovely coverage with even less like product on the skin is very, very pretty. So I haven't had any irritation. I will say that I put the sunscreen on by itself today, and I had like it was like a cooling sensation on the skin. It wasn't irritating. It didn't make my skin look really red or anything, but it felt like cooling on the skin. That's like literally how that sunscreen felt on my skin. So that's just something to note. But I've been loving this product. If I continually use it and don't have any issues with my skin, which again, I've been using it all week, but I've been mixing it until I finally got to the point today where I'm using it by itself. We might have a switch over because of how pretty it looks, especially under makeup, and I'm able to use less powder. So that's a whole thing, right? I will say when I was blending it in, because I do use a lot of SPF, I like to have a nice solid SPF on. I was kind of rubbing it in like that, and there was a couple parts, it wasn't pilling, you know, like how it pills into little pieces, but I had to work a little bit harder when it was gathering a little bit. So I just had to rub it into the skin a little bit better, and that kind of went away. It sits really pretty underneath the number 7, but I'm yet to toy around with it by itself with other foundations. Again, it's got this tack to it, and I have to be sure, I'll note this for like when I use it tomorrow, because I do use a different product around my eyes, to be sure to kind of blend that sunscreen with my under eye care cream so that I don't get a line right there when I'm blending concealers with foundations, if that makes sense. So I do have to dabble around with it a little bit more with certain like foundations and concealers and stuff, but otherwise I really like how my skin looks, and I'm super surprised that it doesn't feel drier without using another moisturizer. So that's very interesting to me. So, and you guys will definitely be the first to know if I end up switching over from Josie Maran to this product, which that'll be something. I have been using Josie Maran SPF 47 for years and years and years. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about the formula. I was just giving you my whole experience over the past week with this product. So there's 1.69 fluid ounces of product. I love the bottle. It's got a like iridescent pink to it. It's got a little bit of the watermelon-y type of scent to it, but you can also smell a little bit of the sunscreen in there too. But you can still smell that watermelon if you've ever tried the Watermelon Glow Mist or the toner, which I use both of those products. I actually have the majority of my skincare today is all Glow Recipe. So I swatched some on the back of my hand here so you can see the glow that it gives like just my skin. It's right there. There are no visible shimmers or anything like that, but you can see the glow that it gives. And again, it's not sticky, but there's a bit of tack to it. And when I was putting my foundation over it, I just felt like it just grabbed onto it really well. So I'm excited about this product. So let's read about it, shall we? On the little card, it says non-irritating blend of chemical and mineral sunscreen for all skin types, even sensitive, which I do have a sensitive, acne-prone, dry skin type. Sheer blendable formula for all skin tones, broad spectrum protection. Again, there's not a whole ton of marketing that this is a moisturizer at all, but it does say there's watermelon extract, hydrates, niacinamide or B3, reduces hyperpigmentation, the look of dullness, hyaluronic acid, which, you know how I feel about hyaluronic acid in the dry climate, but again, my skin feels quite hydrated. And then there's aloe as well that helps to soothe. So this does say available on Sephora on 2/22, so it is available now. But if you wanted to read the little card right there, I'll just show you guys the card that came in the box. I guess I'd like to speak more about my experience with the product than anything. And I love Glow Recipe, so a huge thank you to them for sending this over. And that is everything that I have from my haul today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to wear sunscreen, and I will see you guys later. Bye.